Um, yeah, there was no sound because I had it muted. This thing is being weird. Like, hold on for a second, because I have to find, because y'all, YouTube is being weird already right off the bat, because when I go to the actual video, it doesn't, hang on for a minute. Okay, here we go. All right. I don't know why it wasn't like, y'all, when I generated, okay, here we go. When I generated this so that I could go live, and let me do something really quickly. Let me put some thumbnails up and everything. But when I first generated this, it was saying that it was private. That's why I ended up doing it twice, because it said that it was private. And it wasn't showing it. And so I wasn't really able to do what I wanted to do, because I was confused for a moment. But now I think we're here, and we are going to get into this. I don't want this to be very lengthy and long, and so I'm going to make sure it's not too long. Plus I have some other things I need to start working on. Just give me 1 second, y'all. Let me fix this even on the back end. Let me make sure. Yeah, my internet is connected appropriately. And y'all know last time I was live, YouTube didn't kick me off. It was actually my internet connection that was being janky. It just shut off. There was like outages with over 2,500 people in my area. So it wasn't just me for sure, but hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully that won't happen today. But I wanted to come on here and kind of go over some more details. Obviously, Russel Simmons decided to come out and make a statement following the fact that he was being exposed. But I wanted to go over a few things that I wasn't able to cover in my video, because my video was already nearly, it was just under a half hour. And most of the time for pre-recorded videos, I don't like them to reach 30 minutes. And I definitely don't like them to exceed 30 minutes, but they have been doing that. And so I'll be trying to keep them as short as possible, just so y'all know. But sometimes you try to cram a whole bunch of information and revelations into one video. And for that video, I wanted to particularly focus on this issue in the community with fatherhood, because we keep seeing more and more these wealthy Black celebrities acting the same as these regular, everyday, whatever they call Pookie and Ray Ray, because bandits are all about trying to separate themselves, divide themselves into certain groups. So you'll hear them talking about educated lames and good guys versus Pookie and Ray Ray. Y'all are going to hear some of this in the video we're going to review with Umar Johnson on the panel that he was on. But bandits like to separate themselves into groups and try to make it appear that what's going on in the community is not going on in the community by a majority of people. And please do understand that the majority of Black men have the same pathology. It just is what it is. And I don't think y'all should let them lie to you and make it seem like there's some upstanding group of Black men that nobody sees. We keep hearing them say, oh, there's some good, productive Black men in the community. But then when we ask, where are they and what are they doing? Basically, they can't really validate saying that. So what they'll do in the meantime is say Pookie and Ray Rays. Every bandit who sits up there and says Pookie and Ray Rays want to sit up there and point to themselves as the good guy. We're told that these high value men, i.e. men who make a certain amount of money, are also a good quality type man, but they're not. We see the same pathology. Russel Simmons, and if I keep saying Russell Wilson, I need y'all to please correct me if you can. The chat is at 777. I did notice that. I think that's interesting. I want to point that out. But if y'all end up hearing me say Russell Wilson, please correct me and say Russell Simmons, because I don't want to get the two mixed up, but they do have the same name. But they will try to draw a line of separation, and there really is none. The bottom line is the majority of these bandits, if not all of them, have the same pathology, and that's why we're getting the same outcome. And we're getting the same outcome regardless to the race of the woman. That's what I wanted to emphasize as well, because they'll act like this is an issue of Black women and Black women's deficits. And granted, nobody has ever opened their mouths to say that Black women were perfect. I don't think anybody is trying to pass that message. But the reality is Black men in one breath want to call themselves these leaders. They want to push this notion of submission. They want to talk about being the head. They'll even use whatever religion they can to validate this. But then when it comes to taking accountability, when it comes to the correction of other males within the community, when it comes to the failures and the way that these children are acting and the culture that they created, they want to point the fingers to other Black men and act like, oh, it's them over there. No, it's you too. And we know it's you too based off your mentality. When you see a man like Russell Simmons, I think a lot of people are probably surprised by what has been exposed about him. Because if y'all didn't watch the reality show that they had, and I forgot the name of it, with Rev Run and his family, we were given, first of all, the impression of Russell Simmons as this mogul, this spiritualist, this family man. Basically, if anybody said anything about his personality, it was more geared towards him being an aggressive businessman. But in terms of a man in general, he basically was painted as this upstanding Black man who many Black men should try to mimic and aspire to. But now we see years later his children and his preference coming out and speaking. Kimora Lee is talking about how basically he met her in a predatory way. She was 16, 17. She was in high school when she met him. He was 34. We know that this is a cultural dynamic within our community as well. The older males preying on younger girls. We know that they promote this all the time. They sit up and lower the age that a woman so-called hits the wall, and then her youth only becomes viable. It'll be in her toddler years now, because they're so degenerate that they'll end up lowering it to her toddler years. But we continuously see them talking about how much they like young girls. So this is something that is a part of our culture that we don't want to pay attention to, but it is very prevalent. Bandits in the community wanting to go after young girls. So he met Kimora. He was supposed to be this wealthy business owner, this mogul. Like I said, a lot of people compared him to like the Black Donald Trump or whatever. I remember back in the day them saying that. Russell Simmons was praised by Black men. Russell Simmons was put on literally a pedestal. But behind the scenes, literally behind the scenes, Kimora, and I don't know if it directly came from Kimora, but there's allegations of a boy addiction. This man was being held as one of the masculine men within our community. At this point, I don't think Black men know what masculinity is. Not only did Kimora come out and speak about him and his terroristic ways within the home and as a father, and this is why I say it's not always about whether the father is there or not. Of course, in most cases with Black men, the fathers are absent. But what about the ones who are in the homes? Because if you have a problematic father with a degenerate mindset in the home raising children, all he's going to do is pass on that degeneracy. Now, in this situation, in terms of Kimora doesn't have a son with Russell Simmons. She had a son with Jaimon Hansu. She has two daughters with Russell Simmons. So Russell Simmons and his attitude to me towards his children mimics Brian McKnight, and it actually mimics Todd Tucker from, and I'm going to tell you guys how. And I've noticed that this is a mindset of Black men, and I think it's very interesting. but I'm seeing too many Black celebrity fathers talking about how they want their daughters to struggle, even though they have money. They want them to get it out the mud. And it's interesting because they'll put their daughters in situations where from the very beginning, they have to be masculine. Then when they become grown adult women, then they want to complain, oh, Black women are masculine. Well, when you were wealthy, you didn't want to let your daughter rest in her femininity. You wanted her to go out there and pound the pavement and struggle just because you struggled. And that's kind of the attitude that is given. Todd Tucker had that attitude on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think is disgusting, where he didn't even want Candy putting his daughter in a better situation and literally said that he struggled, so he wants his daughter to struggle. I don't know if y'all noticing, but I'm noticing that this is an attitude that a lot of these males have towards their daughters, but they'll turn around and infantize their sons, just like Black women do in the culture, and basically paint it out that they're babies and they need to be coddled and they need to be sheltered. Russel Simmons, it sounds like, had that attitude towards Ming and Aoki Lee. Hey, Themis, can y'all welcome Themis in here? Y'all can be loud with it, but warm nonetheless. Steven said, if you are a grown person dating a high schooler, you have no side to the story, just disgusting. Yeah, it is. Oh, Stormy, you said, Kimora said his women and men. Then she caught herself. Yeah, because she probably felt like, listen, we hear all the time about the industry. We hear all the time about the industry and men getting with other men in the industry. We already know we have a down low issue in the Black community. We are the only community who have this down low issue. That's not to say that other communities don't deal with coming out when they're in the LGBTQ community. Obviously, that's in anybody's community, but it's getting less and less because of the acceptance of it. The down low is specifically in the Black community. And what it's talking about is Black men's dishonesty about their actual sexual orientation. And I think that there's far more of them than we think there are. So it doesn't surprise me for anybody to come out and make claims about Russell Simmons being with men. Ain't that been said about all of them? Jay-Z, P. Diddy, like, I mean, this is what they say about men in the industry. What was her name? What was the chick that comes out exposing everybody, the white chick? Selena Powell. If you ask Selena Powell, all of them are on the DL. You can ask Selena Powell and a number of different women who are in the industries who are solely known for getting with these Black celebrities and athletes. And they've been saying the same thing, that these men don't just like women, they like men as well. This has been said about a lot of these YouTube dating coaches too. So I'm not surprised by that. But I want to actually, because I don't know how many people in my video got to read over the screenshots of the text messages from Aoki Lee, because it's actually very disturbing. I put them in there, but again, for the sake of time and not making the video so long, and maybe for situations like this, maybe I should give my leeway for them to be at least 40 minutes just to get everything in there, because there was a lot of stuff. Like even Aoki Lee crying and doing her live stream. Like anybody that emotional, I'm gonna go ahead and believe them, because she's way too emotional to be lying about this. What the energy that she gave me is that she needed to get this off of her chest, because this was a heavy weight that was weighing her down. And she's in the public eye, and y'all basically have this opinion of Russell Simmons, and she's saying that Russell Simmons ain't what y'all think he is. He was terrorizing his daughters, just terrorizing them. So I want to read those, and then I want to read some more statements that she put out about her mental illness, and then I actually want to go over I do actually then also want to read over his response, because he did have a response. But I really just feel like, listen, we need to understand that money and celebrity and fame is not going to in any way, shape, or form change the pathology of somebody unless they're using their money to be psychoanalyzed and get some mental help, which actually a lot of these men could benefit from that. A lot of Black people could too, actually. And I really want us to start normalizing getting mental health checks. And that's not to shame anybody. is to say, look, number one, you live in a hostile environment. Number two, you have to look at your history of trauma, your current level of trauma that you're always facing. And you have to think of the ramification and consequences of that, like the anxiety, the PTSD, the stress, like just a lot of them, depression, bipolar disorder, antisocial personality disorder, which y'all already know. When me and Stormy did our interview, we talked about antisocial personality disorder. I do think that Black men suffer from that as a collective group. I don't know how often the psychological community pathologizes groups of people in a way to where you would diagnose the collective of them with one specific disorder. But I am really convinced that Black men as a collective group have antisocial personality disorder, and really nobody would convince me otherwise. Am I qualified to diagnose the group of them? No, I don't know if anybody would be qualified to diagnose an entire group of people, but I still do believe that Black men as a collective group have antisocial personality disorder. I really believe that they do. They fit all the criteria, and you can just literally observe their behavior. But apparently Russel Simmons has been terrorizing his daughters. It just is what it is. This is a wealthy, high value man who, according to the Black community, should be the example of what Black fathers should aspire to be. But at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors in these celebrity lives. And I really wish people would stop acting like they do, because we always end up later on seeing someone come out and expose them, and people are shocked because they didn't think that that was this type of person. But these are regular human beings, and they are Black people. And we have to understand the pathology of Black men. It is especially with regards to raising children and just fatherhood in general. I don't think they value it. Y'all can say that some of them do value it. I can't find anywhere in documented history where they've displayed in large numbers an appreciation for their role as fathers. And they still don't. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to act like they do, because they don't. But anyway, Aoki Lee basically said her father is an angry bird, Russel Simmons. He's broke, he hasn't contributed, he wants them to struggle. He gets on the phone and disrespects her mom to them. He'll disrespect the sister. So just disrespectful in general. Kind of surprising for people who look at him as a spiritual guru. People can fake all the time, and clearly this is one of those. And I don't even think it's faking necessarily. It's more of, I'm only going to show you what I want you to see. Why would you show the worst parts of yourself to the general public who supports you? You wouldn't, because you would want to maintain their support. So people keep up pretenses, and I think that that's what Russel Simmons did. But we already know that we've been in this exposure era, and I really believe the exposure ball is still rolling on Black male pathology, because a lot of people are still confused. But let me read over this. She said, I'm going live, come join me, to play that tape of you calling my mother a piece of shit. How dare you? And he said, okay, good. Like, this dude is immature. We have to point out the level of immaturity that comes with these bandits in old age. Oh, getting older for a lot of Black men is just that. They've gotten older, but mentally they have not matured. And you can already tell that this is not a mature man. Look at the way that he responds to his daughter. Look at the way that he writes. This is not the makings of a mature man at all. So she says, I'll send you a request. You are welcome to be a part of it. I have tried so hard, and look at you. You are a child and a sick man. You deserve everything that has happened to you. So then he says, I'm waiting. I'm glad she put you're a child in here, because he is. He does. That's what it gives me. It gives me very immature. She said, just why? I'm out here praying for you and hoping everything goes well, and you call my mother a piece of shit. He says, neutral my ass. I don't even appear in your media, and your mother has stolen my money and the love of my kids, as she promised she actually is. And then he said, I can't read this with this black thing on it. It says, I've had enough. I know I may lose jobs or whatever. I don't even know. I was always a daddy's girl. You can see that in my picture, but he's been awful to me for years. And that's just the truth. And then he said, she is the piece of shit. This is a disrespectful, immature man. Very immature man. This is a high level of immaturity. And the reason I keep emphasizing it, because I don't think we talk enough about the level of immaturity that a lot of these black men have. And it's not just them, but we're talking, but for the sake of the topic, because that's what we're talking about. A lot of black men are mentally and emotionally immature. And Russel Simmons is one of them. Nothing about this, it sounds like it's coming from a media mogul. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a father. And it doesn't sound like it's coming from a man that's in his, 60s and 70s? Because Russel Simmons is like, how old is Russel Simmons? Let me look. Because I know this man got to be in his 70s. This is not the mind of a 70-year-old man. Oh, he's 65. So he halfway to 70. This don't sound like the mindset of a man who's 70. This is an immature child. She said, it's like talking to a cruel child or something. And no, he does not financially support me. He hasn't given me a dime in years. I haven't had a graduation gift, a birthday gift, so much as a taxi ride in years. This is a man who, if you type into Google to look up his net worth, it's going to say he had a net worth of $350 million. Now, if you were able to even mildly read lips, in one of those videos, he was mouthing, I'm broke. He said that he's broke. In one of those videos that Aoki Lee uploaded where he was just yelling, because a typical angry bird, it's like, dude, you 65, you go blow a gasket if you keep acting like that. But he in them videos literally cutting up, looking just like the angry bird that he is at 65 years old. So, but in there, he mouthed and said he's broke. So clearly there's no support that he's given. I don't know what this dude did with his money. I don't know why he's saying he broke. I just typed in there Russel Simmons net worth out of 2023, and it says he had a net worth of 350 million. Obviously, I don't believe that. And clearly your net worth is not how much you have in liquid assets. It's just not. So we already know what a net worth is. But she said, happy Father's Day. It was nice you were here last year for it, but have a great day, Dad. I love you. I hope this the right day in Bali. She said, I do my best. I did not side with anyone over any legal business. He's been directly harmful to me. He tries to get at my mom by hurting us. Since I was 16 to 17, he literally forced me into needing therapy, but said, sorry, he doesn't have $100 a month to pay for a session. So she then said, Dad, I stopped talking to you because you were giving me panic attacks to the point I was placed on emergency medication every time we spoke. I cannot have a relationship with you until that stops. No one stops me from talking to you. My health does. I have to put that first. Every time I spoke to you, you would yell and scream about a legal situation that I can't even respond to because I am not involved. I am your child, not your lawyer, your ex-wife, any of it. I can do nothing. Yet you yell at me like it's my fault. You are putting so much anger and rage on me every phone call, cursing, screaming, and God knows what else. I'm sorry, but I cannot be the target of it. It's not fair. It got to the point I could not hear your voice without having an anxiety attack. You have to at least respect I'm putting my health and well-being first. I don't think we think enough about the damage that some fathers do when they're in the presence of their children, because this girl sounds like this man is messing up her entire psyche. Like he's traumatizing his daughter with his own mental instability. Because it's like, this is how you're acting, calling the mother of your child a piece of shit, yelling, screaming at your daughter. You won't even give her $100. She's telling you that she's having panic attacks just merely by talking to you. This is a bandit. This is a bandit. And we don't think about how much psychological damage a lot of these fathers do to their children, especially their daughters. He said, I have boundaries. your mother and Tim took what equals $250 million of my money is obviously mine, obviously. Last time I'm saying this, I just thought you were busy and traveling or whatever, and I saw his number under Aoki's boyfriend, didn't respond. He really can't understand your mother and neither can you. It's okay, punish me. You aren't stupid. Stop it. At some point, you know the truth. Honestly, I just care about your well-being. You don't. She said, you are being blocked for not respecting my boundaries. I asked you 10 million times to not talk to me about this lawsuit again. Happy holidays. I love you. And the thing is, he doesn't care. Like he does not care. She just told you, you causing her anxiety. This don't got nothing to do with her. Then he comes back responding about $250 million that once again don't have nothing to do with her. Just disregarding his daughter's feelings completely. Whatever battle you have with the mother and Tim, you need to go take that to them. Why are you putting your daughters in the middle of your issue with your ex-wife? But everybody will sit there and say, well, all you need is a two-parent home. And I'm not saying two-parent homes aren't effective. I'm saying if they are dysfunctional, you end up doing way more harm than good. This would be a dysfunctional home setting. This is what this would be. This wouldn't be a functional situation that's going to be conducive to a healthy and whole psychological well-being. This is a man who was terrorizing his daughter. That is what this is, a man who's terrorizing his daughter. Let me get out of this really quickly, and then I want to show something else where she's talking about this man's mental illness, and I believe her. And then I'll get into his response and wrap it up because I'm tired of talking about Russell Simmons already. Clearly, he's a bandit. It just is what it is. There's a lot of bandits who got money, and Russell Simmons is saying not only is he broke, but he's also a bandit. So this will be a famous broke bandit at the end of the day. But she said, my father is not well for years. He needs help and won't accept that. Refuses to acknowledge he is not himself. He has threatened and bullied my sister, my grandma. He has harassed my grandma in the middle of the night in poor health. Send a man to my sister's apartment at 2 a.m. to scare her. This is just demonic. Like, you don't do that to your kid. You send in a random strange man at 2 a.m. to your daughter's house. He lashes out at anyone who does not say, oh, Russell, everything is fine. Well, it's not fine. If I never get a fashion job again, like he threatens, I'll be a lawyer, I guess, and work in criminal justice. Sure, I love my job, but if he takes it away from me, I won't die. You don't threaten my sister and grandma and mother and say, who's going to believe you? I'm Russell Simmons. Nobody thinks I'm crazy. I just want to know, when are we going to acknowledge reality? Like, I really just need to know that, because it gets tiresome. Like, sometimes talking about this stuff is really emotionally and mentally and spiritually draining. I don't always talk about how draining it is. And the reason why it's draining is because we see the same dynamic and same scenario over and over and over. We see it presenting itself with Black men and different races of women, Black men and Black women, Black men against they Black kids, Black celebrity men against they Black kids, regular Black men complaining that they don't want to provide for their kids. So this is across the board, all age groups and socioeconomic status. And when I say age groups, I mean age groups in terms of them that have kids, because we already know, like, at a certain age you can't have no kids, your body ain't developed. So I'm not talking about every single one, but for the ones who are of childbearing age, we'll say that this is consistent across the board. What we have not yet seen is any other group of women talk about the great fathers that Black men are, and they have children with them as well. And so this gets exhausting, because it's like all of the issues are right here. They're very evident. They're very clear. It's not just Black women complaining about it. It's all groups of women complaining about it. But we don't want to acknowledge the writing on the wall. There is something wrong with these males. There's something wrong with them. Now, people can sit up there and they can attach whatever adjective they want to what I'm saying. They can say it's white supremacist narrative, whatever. Not acknowledging that there's something wrong with them is the problem. Thema said, not a lawyer, is the backup. Love that for her, though. Do not get financially abused. Yeah, this is abuse on a lot of levels. This is just an abuse on a lot of levels. It really is. Honestly, I feel sorry for these girls. I really do. And I know they don't need my pity or anything, but the fact of the matter is they have to live with this disgruntled, angry bird bandit of a father who is now complaining that he's broke and angry. Pick a struggle. You old, broken, angry, and people are coming out here saying that even as an old man, you're lying about your lifestyle in many different ways, including your own sexuality. We in the Black community do not want to acknowledge that there is something wrong with Black males. Now we can speculate as to what's wrong and the origins of how they've become wrong, but there's something wrong with them nonetheless. There's something wrong with them. When you see one singular group of men and they're the most likely to abandon their children, abandon their community, not get mad, just not do anything that will be conducive to the upkeep of a family or a community. They don't want to do anything, nothing. It's almost like the only thing they want to be able to do is exist and victimize and exploit other people. And if I say this, then it becomes a problem because nobody really wants to acknowledge that there is a problem in the community called Black men. Now, are they just choosing to have a problem or are they born problematic? Y'all can discuss that at a later date, but can we first acknowledge that there's something wrong with them? Because there really is something wrong with them. Some people can say they possessed, you can say it's demonic. I do believe there's something spiritual about them. Nonetheless, can we just acknowledge there is something wrong with them? There's something wrong with them. If everybody is saying the same thing, if everybody is having the same experiences, if everybody is having the same outcome with them when they get engaged with them, then there is something wrong with them. You don't get to run around and keep pointing the finger at Black women when your preferences are singing the same sad song that Black women are singing, and you are the person they are singing it about. When do we get to acknowledge that there's something wrong with these men? There's just something wrong with them at the end of the day. That's why nobody can get through to them. That's why no matter how many leaders you have pop up, there's no progression mentally or otherwise with Black men. There is something wrong with them. Sitting up there talking about how they want to lead somebody, but still ain't led themselves out of the problematic system that they keep complaining about. There is something wrong with them. He came back and said, God is testing you a little bit. It's okay. Be strong. I'm tired of their reprobate, degenerate mind, and I'm tired of them placing divinity on their degeneracy. God is not testing her. You are terrorizing her. They always have to blame some kind of external cause for their issues. So apparently God told Nick Cannon to run around here and create all these confused biracial kids that he can't even raise because he don't have enough time to raise them and work to provide for them at the same time. But God told him to engage in the very behavior that is conducive to psychological and behavioral problems. God told him to do that. This man is sitting here terrorizing his daughter. She's telling him, you are affecting my psyche. Every time I talk to you, I'm getting anxiety. And he's telling her God is testing her a little bit. As if he's not choosing to engage in these behaviors. Why are you blaming God for your degeneracy? God is not testing her. You are terrorizing her. You're traumatizing her. Then he says, be strong. They are called growing pains. As you know, we grow through adversity and struggle. You are forced to read my books and hear me preach your whole childhood. Remember back, remember to remember, smile and breathe, smile and breathe. I think something's wrong with him. Something is psychologically wrong with this man. And I don't even, has he even gotten mentally evaluated? Probably not. You are the watchers of this world, so let go, be at ease. God is driving and he is working on you. No conditions. For sure, I love you guys more than I love myself. Just random all over the place and nonsensical and stupid. She don't care nothing about this. What are you talking about? Like this girl don't care nothing about this. And the reason she don't care nothing about this is because at the end of the day, you're still affecting her psyche. You gave her a bunch of nothing ass word salad that she can't do nothing. She can't eat it. She can't digest it. Why are you telling her that? She don't want to hear about God testing her when she see that you are the one on her phone triggering her and causing her to have panic attacks. And he's sitting up here talking about God is testing her. Just callous, just careless, detached emotionally from his own daughters and the psychological welfare of them. Something is wrong with these males. There's something wrong with them. And this is not about you raising them to be this way, because you still got a whole entire community here and a culture here that Black men have set, and it's degenerate too. And it's funny how now that when we get into this video with Umar Johnson, how when we were sitting up on that Fox Soul panel, Umar Johnson was crying and whining, and now he's sitting up on somebody else's podcast saying the same thing. But when he was on that Fox Soul panel, it was like, oh, she's saying that, and she bitter. Oh, she hate Black men. She hate Black men. But now he's sitting on a podcast saying the same thing. A lot of people sent me this video. Let me share the screen because let me see. Hold on. Where's my video? A lot of people sent me this video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. There's certain minute marks that I want to go to. The first one is the 16-minute mark. I was tagged in this video on Instagram and TikTok. Okay. I was tagged in this video on Instagram and TikTok, and there were comments from people basically saying, well, look, he's essentially repackaging everything that you've been saying. I want to read y'all a comment that somebody left about this, because I've gotten similar comments on this too. This is a comment that somebody left and said, Sin, all I want to know is what did you do to Dr. Umar? Because he been making sense these past couple of days. He sound like he been studying your channel or even had a sit down in-depth talk with you. I never thought I would say this, but Dr. Umar finally gets it. I hope you do a video about it soon. He does not get it. Umar Johnson says what he says for the moment, and then he'll switch it up. It's whatever is going to, for Umar Johnson and a lot of these so-called Black scholars, it's not about whether or not they get it. It's more about what can I get from going with a certain narrative. And there's certain ones that you'll see they switch up their narrative depending on the wave and the ebbs and flows and the algorithm. They'll switch it depending on that. Months ago, me and Umar Johnson was on Fox Soul, and Umar Johnson was singing a different tune. He was labeling me saying the stuff that he's saying in this video now. When I was asking what did Black men do to counter these issues, when I was asking what do Black men do to help Black boys so they're not being funneled from the school to prison pipeline, when I was talking about Black men dropping the ball in their community, Umar Johnson started yelling out, she hates Black men. We know this because a lot of people made these videos talking about, oh, Umar Johnson destroyed CNG. She don't know nothing about history. She don't know nothing about history. Oh, well, we already know what the narrative is. Now Umar Johnson is sitting up here saying the same thing. Saying the exact same thing. He's reworded some of the things, but he's saying some of the stuff nearly word for word. He was crying and whining when I was sitting up on Fox Soul with him, telling him that Black men have failed the community. and failed to do anything to propel their people to any type of progression. He was screaming out, she hates Black men. He then went on to make a whole video, which was really good advertisement for my channel, by the way, because he got like over 500,000 views on it. So, I mean, that was some good promo for your girl. But he got in the video talking about, I'm a very dangerous woman. And basically saying the same thing all bandits say, only now to be sitting up in this podcast saying the same thing. So the reason I have it on the 16-minute mark is because I want to point something out about this interracial piece, and then I'm going to skip to the piece that y'all really wanted me to go over, and that's when he starts talking about Black male accountability and basically throwing at these bandits everything I said to him at Fox Soul. So basically he called everything that I threw at him on Fox Soul panel, and now he's throwing it at these bandits, is what he's doing. And this isn't this is not even about Sin said it first and stealing talking points. I want y'all to realize this is not what this is about. I would prefer for everybody to be promoting that Black men drop the ball in the community. Please understand that it would be better if everybody was saying the same thing. It would be a whole lot better. I wish that everybody would focus on Black male accountability and the fact that they dropped the ball. So this is not on some, oh, he's copying me. But the reality is you just went and made a whole video talking about I'm a very dangerous woman, and you now saying the same thing that I was saying. You're now saying the exact same thing. You were sitting up on Fox Soul when I was talking about how Black men should be doing more for their community. You were screaming she hates Black men, she ain't coming with no solutions, and basically saying I'm an agent of white supremacy. Now you're sitting up saying the same thing. And he's not the only one who's doing it. There's a lot of women who are doing it too. It just is what it is. But let me play this. Wait, why is this? Hang on, why is my volume? Oh, okay, that's why. All right. Okay, let's go.
That this is the destiny I negotiated with God in heaven before I incarnated. So it don't really bother me.
So let me ask you this question, right? Just to go back to the dating outside your race. You once said that dating interracially is a form of self-hatred.
Absolutely.
Why do you believe that?
Absolutely. Because why do you want to stare in the face of a member of the people who have committed the greatest human atrocities against your people? These are the people.
Is that only specifically to white people, or do you mean if they date an Asian woman or an Indian woman? Is that still the same?
Well, I got two answers. If we're dealing with white people,
right,
why would you want one of them after what they've done to us and continue to do? Because your white girlfriend's still a racist. She still doesn't value Black life. You understand? That white man Serena Williams is married to, he don't value Black life. You understand? That white woman that took $1 billion from Tyler.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's a fair statement for Umar Johnson to say that just because it's a white person, they don't value Black life. I don't really think that's a fair statement, especially when you're going to later then acknowledge that Black men are running around interracial dating and creating mixed people, which clearly would indicate by their behavior that they don't value Black life either. But I don't think that you can just say that just because a white person is white, they don't value Black life. Black men don't value Black life, and that's why they take the lives of Black people more than anybody else do. Y'all know that school ain't never opening, like for real. The fact that people are still giving donations for a school that's obviously not opening is a problem. But the thing of it is that what are you talking about, Umar, when y'all showed that y'all couldn't care less about Black life on a daily basis? That's one of the things I wanted to point out.
Not Tiger Woods. She don't value Black life, right? I can give you countless examples of people I've met in therapy who were called the N-word by white husbands and white wives. You understand me? White people who have sex with you, didn't the slave master sleep with our mothers and grandmothers? So just because they land in the bed with you, what makes you think that they shed their racism? They don't. White people are racist. All white people are racist. There's no exceptions. They may not all be bigots, but they're all racist. They all want their people to dominate.
Now, this is something that Jane Elliott actually said. Jane Elliott said the same thing, and she said that it would be impossible for them not to, based on the educational system and what they are taught. But Jane Elliott said the same thing. So perhaps that's where he's getting it from. Now, I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree, but nonetheless, this has been said.
Fairly, the resources, the opportunities, and the privileges of this society.
What
Every white
What
person.
about the people that just say love is love, right?
Who believes love is love?
I mean, that's most people's and
Hold on, y'all, for a second. Somebody's at my door. Hold on. Okay, thank y'all. I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so I forgot where we were at, but we're gonna continue with some more of the video. And everybody's side was muted. You guys can refresh it and then it should unmute, but I had to do something, so I'm back. So let's get more into the video. Let me play some more.
That might be most black people. Love ain't love for most white folks. Everything white people do has a political purpose. Everything white people do has a political purpose. There's no exceptions. They may not all be bigots, but they're all racist. They all want their people to dominate unfairly the resources, the opportunities, and the privileges of this society. So every white person.
What about the people that just say love is love, right?
Who believes love is love?
I mean, that's most people's answer.
That might be most black people.
Listen, most people do not say love is love, and black people don't believe in love is love either. The only time you ever hear black people talk about love is when it's in reference to them being with a white person. And I'll just say black men specifically. The only time you actually hear that is when they want to date interracially. But when they're dragging black women for their hair type and their skin tone and how wide their nose is, they're not thinking about love is love. When they're criticizing black women and talking about they're too masculine, they're too loud, they're too aggressive, and that they're not going to date them, they're not thinking love is love. So black men don't believe that love is love. They will only say that when they want to justify them going towards somebody who has white skin. And it's like, we already know what's attracting you to these women is not love, because the outcome is never loving. So the only time you ever hear black men say love is when they want to get emotional about dating people of no color. Nobody believes that love is love. And quite frankly, that's a new, really dumb term, because nobody ever looked at relationships historically and not even presently as love is love. Like, what do you even mean love is love? Because nobody has ever stopped anybody from loving another person. Now, whether they were able to legally engage in a union is something else. But nobody has ever policed anybody loving anybody. But I think it's funny how you have black men who are the most hateful towards the women in their community, always criticizing, always tearing them down, but love is love. But don't date single mothers, but love is love. Don't date an overweight woman, but love is love. Don't date a woman over 35, but love is love. You only hear them say this when it has to do with people of no color. And it's literally black men more so than anybody. I don't see white people running around saying love is love like this. Like, I really don't.
Love ain't love for most white folks. Everything white people do has a political purpose. Everything white people do has a political purpose. Ain't no love is love of white. Would we be considered racist if we only date within our race? No, that's what you call race loyalty.
Now, this is the part where I want to talk about. Will we be considered racist if we date within our race? That's really interesting, coming from the group of men who ostracize dating the women within their race. So you're concerned about what white people are going to think about you if you don't want to date white people, but you're unconcerned about how it looks to the general public when you sit up and talk about how you don't date or don't value the women in your own community. You're not concerned about how that looks, though. And this is why I say all of this is about what's acceptable and what's palatable to white people. That's what black men consider. Because ain't no way you gonna sit up here and talk about, well, wouldn't it be racist if we don't date outside our race? Ain't it self-hating if you don't date within your race? But you'll call that a preference, though. Why would you ask that question when you literally sit up there and justify you only dating outside of your race as a preference? But now when he talks about how you should only date within your race, now you wanna ask, is that racist though? But so we not racist. We won't be racist if we only date within our race. Y'all sit up on public platforms talking about how you despise the women in your community and how you don't date them. You should be more concerned with how you look saying that than how you look saying you don't date outside your race. Because quite frankly, and whether it's advertised or not, most people believe that you should date exclusively within your race. Most people believe that. So if you are sitting up here as a group of men and you are the only group of men who ostracize the women in your community, and I'm not going to say they're not doing you a favor by not dating you. They are doing you a favor by not dating you. Please understand. They're doing you a favor if they don't want to date you because they're nobody to date. But I find it real interesting how he's sitting up here asking, how does it look for him to not date white people? And you're the only group of men on the face of the planet who you can pull up literally syndicated television shows where they're sitting up talking about how they don't want the women of their own race. You see nobody else sitting on no dating shows, and there's multiple dating shows, multiple of them, where Black men will out the gate be recorded on that national television saying, oh, well, I definitely don't want the woman I end up spending my life with to be my same race. So you don't know how dumb and weak and self-hating you sound saying that, but you're asking about you only. Won't we be racist if we don't date outside of our race? Tell me you're a self-hater and you want to justify dating outside your race without telling me that you're a self-hater and you want to justify dating outside your race. Which really you don't even have to justify. You don't even have to justify dating outside your race. But the thing that's making Black men feel like they do is the way that they date outside their race and why. Because they're not doing this out of love. Because if you were doing it out of love, you would just go on about your day. You wouldn't need to sit up there and say, oh, look, I got me a snow bunny. I don't date dark skins. I don't like night riders. I ain't dabbling in the dark. It's the way that they're doing it. It's why they feel like they have to justify it. Because you shouldn't need a justification if it's really love. But the fact of the matter is, you act like you can't love them without hating the women in your own community, and you being acting like that. Let's continue.
Racism is a group system of exploitation, discrimination, oppression, bias, where one group seeks to deny all members of another group their fair share of resources, opportunities, and privileges. You know why you can't be a racist? You don't own a damn thing white people need in order to live. White people need you for nothing, but you need them.
And guess who else needs them for nothing? Because essentially the only purpose that people of no color see in Black men beyond financial exploitation is the same thing that Black women see in them. Both groups are using them for genetic material. Black women want Black men only because they can help them create Black babies because there's nothing else that they need them for. And people of no color biologically favor Black men being with women of no color and creating biracial children because in 2 generations they're going to turn to white people with better genetics. That just is what it is. So both of them see value in Black men almost solely for genetic purposes, because even when they have them as dominating in the athleticism, those are genetic purposes too. But other than that, they don't need them, and neither do Black women. That's the thing that he wants to leave out. Umar Johnson doesn't want to admit that Black men need Black women. Black women absolutely do not need Black men. And I'll debate anybody on that. Black women do not need Black men for anything. You know how we know that you don't need Black men for anything? Because they don't provide anything except for genetic material. So if they don't provide anything but genetic material, then you don't need them for anything but genetic material. Need is based on provision. Value is based on provision. So if you are not providing, then nobody needs you and nobody will value you because you don't contribute. What is your contribution? Why would you be being valued? You don't contribute anything. He doesn't want to admit that Black women don't need Black men, but we don't. And it's for the same reason that he's saying people of no color don't need anything for Black men. Yeah, because they don't own or provide anything. You have to own something to be a provider. They don't own any resources. They have nothing. And so because they have nothing, it's not just people of no color who don't need them for anything, it's Black women too. Because Black women are getting all of their needs met by another male group. And the very male group that bandits keep complaining and saying is stopping them from being able to provide anything to Black women. It's a problem.
Whose schools our kids go to? Theirs. True. Our money in whose banks? Theirs. Who's building the houses we need to rent and buy? Them. Who's shipping our stuff around the world that we need to order to live? Them. You follow me? They don't need us for shit. We need them for everything. We are as dependent on white people today as we were when slavery ended 157 years ago.
And that I agree.
So
I do agree with that. And actually the data corresponds with that too. And it says that you're in the same position despite all of your wealthy Black people. And see, I think a lot of people don't pay attention to these studies and the difference between appreciated and depreciated value, because every time we want to prove that the Black community has something, we point to the wealthy Black so-called elite that doesn't put anything back into their community. The reason why your Black wealthy elite do not matter and are irrelevant when it comes to the overall wealth of the Black community, because they don't contribute to the wealth of the Black community. They don't put any of their wealth into the Black community. So that's why you're where you're at, because you got bandits who want to sit up here and say love is love, but they got a hatred for their own community and will take their wealth and assets and give it to the very community that they sit up and complain is oppressing them. They'll sit up here and say the system, the system, the system, the system, but you're going to marry one of the beneficiaries of that system and you're going to funnel your wealth right back into that system? Really? Like it's just, these are supposed to be the leaders. These are supposed to be the leaders though. They're the leaders, but they don't even know that in order for your community to accumulate wealth, that has to be done with the wealthy putting money back into the community, and it ain't happening. And this is why we haven't had any progression. This is why we are just as dependent in 2023 as we was in like 1623. Because their wealth doesn't matter. It's not going to the Black community. Their wealth is going into other communities. It does not matter. It doesn't matter how many Black politicians you have if they're not doing anything for the bettering and upkeep of the Black community. It does not matter whether they're there or not. So they can sit there and say we need more Black people in politics. No, we don't. We need the Black politicians that we have now to do something to progress the Black community. What's the point in like literally saying that we need more Black politicians is the same as saying that we just need Black fathers in a home. No, we need productive Black fathers in a home who are going to raise their children. If they're not going to raise their children, if they're not going to instill values in them, if they're not going to induct the boys into manhood, then we don't need them in the home any more than we need more Black people in politics who aren't going to do anything politically for Black people. Why would we need more Black politicians? They're not doing anything to politically benefit the Black community. Why do we need them? Like, you can't just say the existence of somebody being in a certain industry or in a certain room is progression. No, they need to be doing something to benefit you. If they're not doing it to benefit or progress the community, then who cares where they are or what they stand for? Who cares? I don't.
My opinion, if you talk to an integrationist, and say, how far have we come since slavery? Well, we come very far. We got a Black president. Then we got a Black vice president. We got a Black Supreme Court justice. We got about 10 Black billionaires.
Okay, they're going to go into their diatribe about Obama. So I'm going to pass all of this. And then I'm going to get into the other discussion. Okay, this is, we're going to get into this part here. I don't care about their discussion on Obama. Obama ain't the president no more. And just like other people, he wasn't gonna do nothing even when he was. So who cares? Let's listen to this part now.
in our community, right? Brothers don't vote, brothers in jail, brothers know the vote ain't gonna mean shit until we organize it. So yes, they would rather have a Black female vote than a Black community vote, hands down, because Black women vote more than Black men. And that's why we need our sisters to come back into the fold and say, you know what? We're not voting as women. We voting as Black people. And we voting with.
You know why they need you? They need y'all to come back into the fold because they realize they have nothing if you're the fold don't exist if you ain't in it. Period. Black men will have a very poor quality of life if Black women separate from them. So that's why you're now hearing all of this about, oh, we need our women. Oh, if we can just get our women on board. No, you don't value Black women. You value what Black women are willing to do for you. And Black women need to stop. Let them fend for themselves. No, they don't value you enough to marry you or invest their money in you, so they should be on their own. Go and get Becky, Maria, and Ling Ling, or whoever you met when you went and got your passport and went to another country. Let those women, let them come into the fold for you. The days of them just being able to use Black women need to be over. Like, it needs to be over. Why are Black women coming into your fold and they ain't even your preference?
Now, man, do you know how powerful that would be? If Black men and Black women stop the dumb shit on social media and say, we want to fight because we got a common enemy, white supremacy.
Thema said our Black men could start voting. It's not a solution, especially when you just said voting don't matter. So you just said that Black men realize that voting don't matter, but now you're trying to get Black women to come into the fold and vote with Black men, although voting don't even matter. Which I agree. Definitely in terms of presidential, maybe on a local level, yes. On certain local policies and laws, yeah, your vote will matter more there. But getting into these voting elections for presidents, no, that's not going to matter. It doesn't matter. It's not. If you didn't vote your way into oppression, you can't vote your way out of oppression. I'm a firm believer that you're not going to solve racism by voting. You're not.
And we're going to put our votes behind a candidate who offers to do the most for us. That would be revolutionary.
So speaking of that, I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned Black women to view Black men as.
Now, look, they always need a scapegoat, because this is the part that I wanted to get into. And this is the part from where that clip that y'all saw running around is coming from. I want to break down this question here, though. Has feminism conditioned Black women to view Black men as the enemy? So we're going to skip over the part where Black men are actually saying Black women are their enemy. This is why I'm telling you, there always has to be some external source to blame them on. So Black women view you as the enemy because of feminism and not because you set your dumb ass up on public platforms and said they're the enemy and is still doing it. So it's not because you've treated Black women like they are your enemy. It's not because your language says they are the enemy. It's because feminism. It's not because when you stepped off the plantation, you was pimping them and petitioning the Supreme Court so you can have access to women of no color. That's not why they was. First of all, Black women don't even see him as the enemy. I'm trying to get Black women to see Black men as the enemy. Black women don't view Black men as the enemy. Black women have convinced themselves that Black men love them, even though they don't. But he's going to say, has feminism conditioned Black women? If Black women view Black men as the enemy, it is because of Black men, not feminism. Feminism can't condition Black women to see Black men as the enemy, because especially if Black men's behaviors are going against whatever feminism is teaching them. They never explain this. They never explain how feminism, what is it about feminism that would have made you be the enemy? What about it? Because they'll say, well, feminism did this and this movement did that. How? How did it? Because either Black men's behavior was going to validate feminism conditioning, or it would invalidate feminist conditioning. So even if feminism was able to condition Black women to view you as the enemy, then Black men would have to be engaging in behavior that says that he is the enemy to Black women, and he has been engaging in that behavior. You have been doing it.
The enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA.
And see, he's gonna say it has. How? Notice how he's not telling you how. Can any bandit please step up and tell me how feminism conditioned Black women to believe Black men are the enemy, even though Black men's behavior has been in contrary to whatever conditioning it is? Can somebody please tell me? Because I would love to know. Now, Umar Johnson said, yes, it did, but he's not going on to explain it, and neither are the other two in there. So can somebody please tell me how feminism was able to condition Black women to believe that Black men are their enemy when Black men's behavior has gone in contrary to it? Because the only way you can condition it is if Black men's behavior actually lines up with the feminist enemy narrative. I would love to know.
Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house, and into the Black household to turn a Black woman against the Black man.
I want y'all to tell me why you think it is that he's not explaining how feminism, why do y'all think it is that none of them is explaining how feminism conditioned Black women to view Black men as the enemy? And the reason I'm asking y'all this question is because I want you to think about it. If someone is going to tell you definitively feminism conditioned Black women, not Black men's behavior, mind you, because they're saying Black men's behavior did not condition Black women to view them as the enemy, even though they don't. I wish they did. I want Black women to view them as the enemy because they certainly are running around saying you're the enemy. Even when Black men are saying that Black women are their enemy, Black women still don't view Black men as their enemy. But why do y'all think that he's not explaining how? All he's doing is saying, yes, it did condition. How? Why do y'all think he's not explaining it? The reason he's not explaining it, because Umar Johnson could not clearly lay out to you. He couldn't give you any example, any tenet, any ideology from feminism. He could not lay that out for you and definitively conclude that this right here has taught Black women to view. He can't do it. He can't do it. He can't. And it's because feminism did not. What really happened is Black men have been engaging and behaving like they are Black women's enemy. That is what, if it even conditioned them, because it didn't. Black women don't believe that Black men are their enemy. This is projection. Because Black men see you as the enemy and they're saying it, they think that you see them as the enemy when there is nothing that you are doing that. If Black women saw you as the enemy, why would they continue to give birth to you? Why would Black women continue to give birth to males if they really believe that they are birthing their enemy? So essentially, he is saying that you are extremely stupid as a Black woman, because if you believe that the Black man is your enemy and you keep giving birth to him, then you are a fool. And this is how we know that you don't see Black males. Only a fool would continue to birth their own enemy. Only a fool would continue to birth their own enemy. It's very difficult to convince Black women. The hardest thing to do is convince Black women. You can't even convince Black women that Black men don't like them, let alone that they're their enemy. Who has been named the person who has been successful in getting Black women en masse to even believe that Black men don't like them? You can't get Black women to believe Black men don't like them. You can't get Black women to believe Black men don't love them. But he's saying that there's this feminist movement, which is simply an ideology that has been able to successfully convince Black women that Black men are their enemy, but you still giving birth to them though, and still saying they the prize, and still competing to be with them. He's not explaining it because he can't. It's not true.
To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
So, you know,
Listen to what he said. Feminism decided to scapegoat Black men for problems that Black women face that was caused by the system. What are those problems? Because Black women's biggest issue is not systemic oppression. Black women's biggest issue is the fact that Black men are leaving them single mothers, not marrying them, not putting money into the community, toe tagging them at the highest rate of any male group, and constantly publicly disparaging them. So what are you talking about? What are the problems that the system is causing for Black women, but scapegoating Black men for? Because when you choose to abandon your child, the system isn't doing that. How are the system scapegoating you and you're willingly abandoning your children? Oh no, that's Mo said, I know an older man who was afraid to get married because his girlfriend had benefits that from the government and he benefited off of them too. Of course. Of course. They're never, this is not, I don't know how people saw this as Umar Johnson talking about Black male accountability. No, he's not. He's blaming everything on the system. Feminism conditioned you to believe that was the enemy. Feminism made you scapegoat Black men and blame Black men, not for what they're doing, but for what the system is doing. I wonder why he ain't explaining that in detail either. Because he's just saying stuff. Just like he was doing on Fox Soul. And Umar Johnson is not used to being challenged on his talking points because everybody thinks he's so smart, and he is smart, but you should still challenge him on what he's saying. How did feminism convince Black women that you are the enemy when nobody has ever even been able to convince Black women that you don't even like them, let alone that you're the enemy? How? What are the issues that Black women are facing that the system is scapegoating Black men for? Why are we not explaining this?
well, obviously, you know, a big thing, obviously, we spoke about the gender wars, you know, earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation nowadays about, you know, the value of what a woman brings and the value of what a man brings in a relationship. And now there's a lot more rhetoric from our women that we hear is, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, right? So
That's pain speaking, though.
right.
Because most Black women know they will never get a man.
That's not pain speaking, that's logic speaking. Logically, you don't need a person who does not provide anything to you. That's not about pain. That's about do you provide or do you not? Do you contribute anything or do you not? Do I need you or do I not? No, no. Because he will say that's pain that Black women is speaking because they'll never get a man. The only reason he can say a lot of Black women will never get a man, the only reason he can say that is because he knows most of y'all restrict yourself to Black men. You're not saying that because you will never get a man, unless you only restrict yourself to Black men. You're saying you don't need Black men because they don't provide anything. They can't even tell you what you need them for beyond genetic material. I've asked Bandit several times, what do Black women need you for? And they'll say, oh, well, you can't create Black babies. Okay, genetic material, well, what else? What else? Because none of them are going to point to anything except genetic material because that's the only thing they provide to you. It's that simple. You don't need to be emotional to put one and one together and get two. And Black men not providing plus Black women having to provide on their own equals Black men are not needed. They're not.
A Black woman can have sex whenever she wants, right? Because she's beautiful. She can have a bedmate, but to have a soulmate, she may never get.
Mind you, you're not even getting soulmates out of Black men because they commonly use this. Like they'll be like, oh, well, other men will pump and dump you, but they ain't gonna marry you. Black men are not marrying you, though. Black men are promoting pumping and dumping you, though. Black men are the ones leaving you single mothers generation after generation after generation, though. They're the ones toe tagging you every 5.5 hours. They're the ones terrorizing the community. But they want to then sit up here and say, well, Black women, you got the option to have sex with other men, but you ain't gonna get no soulmate. They ain't getting soulmates out of Black men either, because y'all act like y'all soulless. You can't get soulmates out of soulless bandits. And that's all we have a community full of: heartless, soulless, callous, demonic bandits. You take your chances with another group of men.
I have 2 daughters, 11 and 20, right? My oldest will be 21 this week. Statistically, right? There's a strong chance my daughter could be one of those.
Why?
She could be one of those who never get a husband, because only 1 out of 4 gets a husband.
Why?
So when a Black woman says, I don't need a man, that is a reaction to the reality that I may not get a man.
And see, notice how he's not saying it's a reaction to the reality that Black men don't provide anything. He's saying it's a reaction to the, you don't build need for a man by simply his presence being there. No, you have to be there and provide something. Need is not based on your presence. So he's basically saying, well, because most Black women will never be able to marry a Black man, that's why they saying they don't need no man. No, it's because Black men don't provide anything. The only thing that can establish need is provision. That's the only thing. You don't need anybody who does not provide anything. But notice how he will never say, you didn't hear out his mouth, well, Black men haven't provided anything to Black women. He's simply saying, well, Black women won't be able to get this prized Black man, and therefore they're saying that they don't need a man because they know they'll never get one. No, they don't need a man because they've been surviving without one. They ain't never had a man provide anything to them. That's why they don't, because the men are not providing, because your presence doesn't matter, because you're just in the community causing problems, but you're not bringing any solutions. There's nothing that they need you for. Because the reality is, it wouldn't matter whether individual Black women were going to personally get married. If Black men were providing to the community or even to their individual families, they wouldn't be saying, I don't need no man. Because Black man's provision would have shown them the value that he brings. It would have established the need. But because he does not provide anything to you, and he has not been providing to you, that is why you don't need them. They showed you that you don't need them. And you showed yourself that you don't need them. In the absence of their provision and you having to provide for yourself, you were then shown that you can be independent and you don't need them. They sitting up here begging another male group to provide for them, but then he want to sit up here and say, oh, Black women saying they don't need a man because they ain't gonna get no man. No, it's because you don't provide. You can try to cushion it the way you want to. It is because you don't provide anything.
So why not preach? Because I understood, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to Black men with with white women.
With all women. You should only be with the Black woman.
And you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America, there's
somewhere else. Absolutely.
So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like, if you feel like
your sisters all the time go to Africa. So I know sisters who marry.
I'm not gonna tell y'all to go to Africa because they have the same pathology. It is not your responsibility to uphold Blackness unless you want to. That is not your responsibility. It is, if they want to make it their responsibility, sure, it can be your responsibility as a Black man. Black women, is not your responsibility to uphold Blackness. You do not have to be with a Black man. And if you're not with an American Black man, your only option is not a continental African. You can be with whatever man you want to.
But it says she invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
So, but instead of saying they would never get married,
sisters in Africa who married brothers they met in Africa.
Right.
So
I think there's obviously plenty of Black men,
yes,
Black women So
And when
I'm saying that they will
like,
never
but
get
if you're
married.
gonna go get you an African man from the continent,
Right.
you would have to understand that the way in which you talk to Black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Why the fuck is it tolerated? That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well,
Yeah, the Black man ain't in no position to say what they will and won't tolerate. Maybe they are for a Black male worshiper. But again, it goes back to the fact that y'all are nothing as bitches who don't provide nothing. You don't have any leverage, sir. Sorry, but you have none. You have no leverage. So you can sit up here and say, well, that's what we trying to tell him. That's what we trying to tell him. Well, you can tell him whatever you want to. What do you provide? Like, what am I going to be missing if I talk to you a certain type of way? What, you gonna go get a white woman? Bye. Like, well, you don't have any leverage, but they think their presence is the leverage. Oh, if you don't do this, that, and the third, I'm gonna withdraw my presence. Okay, bye. Do you want me to hold the door open for you so you can get your ass on? But you're not going to sit here and wave your presence in my face, because that's all that they're giving you is their presence. You get to look at them. Degeneracy wrapped in Black skin. That's what you get to look at. And they want to sit up here and act like they are prize or something. You're not. You're not in a position to tell somebody what you tolerate and what you want.
over here, I want to say this to us though, because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The Black woman has had to hold down the Black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of Black males began in the 1970s.
Wrong, lies. Now, first I want to say, he said, remember when we went back to them talking about Black women needing a man, and he said, oh, it's because most of them won't get a man. But now he's over here saying, well, Black women had to float the household on their own since the 1970s. Really, it was since the 1930s. But if he says the 1930s, then he can't blame welfare because you weren't getting it then. So at the end of the day, how are you gonna say she's saying she don't need a man because she ain't getting no man, and then jump over here and say that, oh, well, she mad because she been having to raise these kids on her own? Through raising the kids on her own, the man is showing her that he's not needed. That is why she don't need you. You can lump this as the reason she don't need you. See this reason why she don't need you. Because you wasn't even in the home to raise your own damn kids. How did the woman need you? You ain't even there to raise your kids. How? This is the reason. But you better believe Black men been abandoning their family and not providing since before the 1970s. So this man is just sitting up here lying. Mass incarceration is not the cause of Black men not providing for their family. They were walking out before they were mass incarcerated. They were never in the home being providers. That is why you don't need them, because they never provided. But I find it quite interesting how you just went and said, oh, well, they saying they don't need you because they can't get no man. But then you go jump over here and talk about how they've been floating the household on their own, how they've been doing everything without the man, how you been in the community between them providing nothing. Really?
Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now, and it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down.
But you just said it's because she couldn't get a man. Now he's saying, oh, it's because you weren't there, you want her when they're down. I think this is a grift at this point. I really do. I really do feel like this is a grift at this point. It's not about a man being there by presence. And see, Umar Johnson saying this is why a lot of women will say, oh, well, we just need more fathers in the home. We just need more fathers in the home. We need more mentally sane, productive fathers in the home. His presence does nothing unless he's engaging in certain behaviors. You cannot just be there and then have a good outcome. You need to be doing something. You need to be doing something. And Black men ain't been doing nothing. That's why you don't need him.
When you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be a man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back, I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that. And then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
Your poor selection is selecting them, though. See, notice how they just went to this narrative. You need to date either black men or African men. Then they're going to say, are we responsible for your poor selection? You are the poor selection. Like, do you not know that you're the poor selection? You're the man that she's choosing. Ain't no woman running around surveying and interviewing people looking for Pookies and Ray Rays. Y'all are the Pookies. You ain't gonna convince me that these dudes up here ain't Pookies and Ray Rays. Nobody is. Nobody is gonna, like, you are the poor selection, sir.
See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's gonna end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it?
Didn't I ask Umar Johnson these very same questions? What are you doing about black men toe tagging other black men? What are you doing to employ other black men? What programs do y'all have in place for black boys? Didn't I ask this to Umar Johnson on Foxhole? And didn't he just respond by screaming out, she hate black men? Because it's really interesting to watch him sit up here and say this, because I'm remembering 9 months ago when we were both on Foxhole, and when I was saying this, you were screaming, she hate black men. These very words that he literally just had come out his mouth are the same things I said to him. And he said, you hate black men, you're running with white supremacist narrative.
Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us. We have not been on our job as black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father, but guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing?
Didn't I ask Umar Johnson, what do black men do for the community on Foxhole? And then he start crying. And now I have the Foxhole video on this, like it's easy to go pull it up on YouTube. I believe I asked Umar Johnson, what are black men doing for their community? And he said, you hate black men. But now he's up here saying that black men have failed the community. But you were saying this, it's the system before, though. And listen, I understand that we very much live in a black male worshiping culture where it is the notion, not just by black men, but by black women too, that what a black man says has more validity. So I do know that my gender is largely one of the main reasons why I get attacked so much, because let's look at what I'm saying. Bandit's been sitting up here promoting selective mating. They just don't know how to spell it or say it, so they weren't calling it that. But they've been sitting up there promoting, and they still are, you not birthing children. They've been promoting that, but now they crying that I'm saying it. I've been asking what black men were doing to benefit their community and help out these black boys. They've been crying, but now when Umar Johnson say it, they agree. Okay, so just say that you don't want to hear a black woman saying it.
But for the children who don't have a father. You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years?
It's been more than 50 years.
We say she's not humble enough.
Look, it's been more than 50 years. Okay, it's been more than, it's really been since you walked off the plantation. But of course, if Umar Johnson say it like that, then there's not much to blame except Black men. But at the end of the day, he recognizes that Black men ain't never provided nothing. So why did you not say the lack of provision is the reason they saying that they don't need you? Because you ain't never provided. Why ain't you saying that?
She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
I understand that, but she needs.
If we was loving our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
You're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No, he's making Pookie and Ray Ray the scapegoat for what all Black men are doing. So unless all of them are Pookie and Ray Ray, then you can miss me with this, oh, well, she picking the wrong dude and the wrong dude that she picking is over there. No, she's picking Black men. And because there's such an overwhelming amount of bandits in the community, of course, you can walk in any room now, throw a dime, you gonna hit a bandit. That's what the law of probability says. The law of probability says the Black community have to be mostly composed when it comes to the males of so-called Pookie and Ray Rays. I call them bandits because by definition, they're bandits. But the law of probability says there has to be an overconcentration of Pookies and or bandits. If that is what all these women are picking, then that must be all they have to pick from. If this, then that. If Black women are all picking Pookies, then that means the entire Black male diaspora is made up of Pookie and Ray Rays. There would be no possible way for there to be all of these good men, but all Black women are only picking Pookies and Ray Rays. Y'all are all Pookies and Ray Rays. Knock it off.
Oh,
No.
There's good
Can I ask you a
quality men
question?
that they
Why
ignore.
she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
Right.
You gotta ask them.
No. I'm gonna tell you why it's a
Right,
Pookie.
because I haven't asked what Black men were doing about the Pookies and Ray Rays. I haven't asked why are there so many Pookies in the community then? Then why don't y'all get the Pookies out the community?
In the selection. Because Black men have abandoned Black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she went Pookie.
They've let Black male culture raise them. White media is not raising Black boys. Black male culture is raising Black boys. Because you have Black men who are media moguls. Russel Simmons was said to be one of them. Tyler Perry is one of them. Byron Allen is one of them. P. Diddy is one of them with Revolt TV. What are Black men using their media for? Oh yeah, to push degenerate Black male culture. Exactly. So Black men are raising them. They just ain't in a home. They raising them, but they just ain't in a home raising them.
If we never allow Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, they still don't give me a right to disrespect her because she's still the queen of the community. Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect. But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
there's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level.
Look, so he understands how value is established, because when he talked about Black women's value, he talked about what she can do for a man. He talked about what women can do to propel men. So they understand how value is established. They understand it because the only value that he sees in women is what they can do for men. Most men only see value in women to the extent that women can do for them. So he understands how value is accumulated, yet when it comes to Black men, he act like he don't know. Oh, we confused. Oh, why are they saying they strong and independent and don't need no man? Gee, I wonder why. They get real stupid when it comes to Black men. Suddenly they're confused as to why you don't need them, but he understands right here in his statement how value is accumulated, though. He knows. He knows. They're playing stupid. You know you a nothing ass bitch and you haven't provided anything. So therefore, you know that unless you provide, unless you're doing something for somebody, those are the ways that you measure need and value. Need and value are measured by provision and what you can do for somebody. It just is what it is.
I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hardworking man, but I'm only looked at as resources,
Okay.
and then she's ready to jump.
Broke bitch logic. They keep getting mad because people look at them as a resource because they don't got no resources. If you have resources, you're not going to keep complaining. I never heard Jeff Bezos complain that women want his resources. I think Jeff Bezos know that as one of the wealthiest men on the planet, that he is a resource. It would obviously be only logical that women are going to think about Jeff Bezos' resources. So I ain't never heard Jeff Bezos say, oh, well, all she do is look at me as a resource. You don't even got no resources. And it's quite clear that you don't got no resources. So why do you keep mentioning resources that you don't have? Oh, yeah, because you don't want nobody to expect you to have what you don't have. He doesn't want anybody expecting him to provide resources because he ain't got no damn resources, just like most Black men don't.
On Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash. He's shining a little bit more. His access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, no, one, I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not.
And
It's
if
not.
you're constantly running into that type of woman,
Yeah.
then the problem is you. Because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why
Why
is
not that same energy for women? You just again you have
Because we having a conversation as men.
Yeah.
I got plenty of interviews with all women where
So these are leaders. These are males that you should submit to. These are males that you should respect. But every time you're having a discussion, they want to talk about women. You should respect them as they compare themselves to you. You should follow them as they compete with you. What the hell am I doing following after a bandit that sees me, not another man, as his competition? What am I doing with him? And then Umar Johnson is trying to speak leadership into some bandits who only got following and being somebody's bottom bitch in their DNA. Leadership ain't in your DNA. If it were, you would not have to do all of this to get them to understand, oh yeah, leadership. Thank you so much, CP Production. She said, thank you for being a voice of reason. You're welcome. It's exhausting. I'm gonna go take a nap after this. I'm telling y'all. I'm about to go get up in a bed and it's raining. Well, it's not really raining, but it's still cloudy. After this, I'm going to get in the bed. Please do believe it. Because mental exhaustion quickly leads to physical exhaustion. I want y'all to know that. And this is exhausting, but we almost done here in a little bit. So I'm going to continue.
check them too.
Right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. No, as men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of Black males for tomorrow. That's the only, that is where we should be focused.
Women bring the choice of life, right? We understand that, right? I can't have a child unless a woman agrees.
And she can't carry one if you didn't put it in.
Right.
I agree with that 100% too, right? But whether or not, if you want that child or not, she can still make that decision.
Now, look, once again, some bandits sitting on a panel telling you that you are to blame because you're choosing to give birth. When are y'all going to listen to them? They don't want you birthing them. There's a reason why this is what they always refer to. I want y'all to notice that you can look at a podcast or a discussion with Black men, and some of them don't mention that you're birthing them is a problem. They're going to find a way to tell you that the problem that you having is that you birthing them. Yet again, they're pointing out that you have the option for abortion. Well, how long are we going to do this for? Like, how long are we going to sit here and do this? You're birthing people who literally don't even want to be birthed by you. Like, they don't even want it. They keep saying this. They keep saying it, and you're not listening.
If you don't put a seed in her, nothing else happens. And no woman can make you put a seed in her. So the original act was the responsibility of a man.
True. I mean,
All right. So did black men willingly leave the household, or was it the system that was?
It was
pushing black-
systemic.
And no, they willingly left the household. Black men willingly left the household. I don't give a damn what the CDC says. I don't care what Umar Johnson is sitting up here saying. Umar Johnson, either he is not very well studied or he's lying. And I refuse to believe that Umar Johnson is not well studied. Maybe he's not though. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's calling himself a scholar, but he's not very well studied. Because if he was very well studied on Black American history, he would know that Black men been walking out of the home. You don't have a term called the poor man's divorce because Black men were staying in the home, not walking out. The system was not making you walk out. The fact that you couldn't provide as the nothing ass bitches of society is why you were leaving the home. He's lying yet again. But again, like I said, maybe he's not lying. Maybe he's not well studied.
So how, if we giving them grace for them having to do it without us, but it wasn't our fault, how are we not getting that same grace and that same respect?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Listen, if the system is able to put a man out of his home, it's his fault. It is your fault. If the system puts you out the home, that is your fault. Because you don't get to be a whole grown ass man. You don't get to sit up and talk about how you were Kangs in Egypt and you built civilizations, but then come back and complain that the system took you out the home. Yes, that is your fault. You ain't supposed to let nobody take you out your home. You don't let anybody. Who can take a man out of his home? Who? If you can be removed from your home, you're not a man. You're a piece of furniture. You're not a man if you get removed from your home. They might as well be taking you out just like they taking the garbage on the street corner in front of your house out. Court Chronicle said, he said women help him build and stabilize. So then we women are the resources. So they can use us to build them up, but we are not to require anything from them. They want to be kept in. And sadly, we've acquiesced to that. We've acquiesced to that. We haven't required anything. And as Black women, we're going to have to acknowledge that we haven't required anything. This is why they're giving such an aggressive pushback on you wanting something from them, because nothing has always been acceptable. They're used to you not receiving anything, you doing everything, and now you want them to do something. They find that to be very disrespectful and unsubmissive. How dare you ask me to do something when my nothingness has always been enough? That's why they're mad.
Tell you why. Because Black men, as the leaders of the community, now
we can't be leaders.
here's the
Women
question
aren't
we gotta
accepting
make.
that.
And now you hear what he said? If leadership is innate in a group of men, you will never hear none of them say, oh, well, we can't be leaders. Women ain't having that. If it ain't women, if it ain't the system, it's the women. It's always somebody other than them. But the fact of the matter is they're telling you they cannot be leaders. Leadership is not in them. If it was, they would not shun leadership and tell you why they can't be it. If their leadership is dependent on the system letting them or Black women letting them, then the system is the leader and Black women are the leader and they are not the leaders. Their pathology is more conducive to being servants. And that's why they have been the servants of multiple groups of people. They've been the servants for a reason. And it is because this is not a group of men who have leadership in them. They don't have leadership qualities at all. And you ain't about to instill no leadership qualities in them. They have servant, peasant, I need to work for you, slave qualities within themselves. And that's why they were that way for so long. And it's about time that we start looking at the length of time that they were in servitude to people and start thinking about what is it about Black men that they just keep being servants to people? Because their pathology is conducive to servitude, not leadership. That's why you've seen them in servitude positions more than you've seen them in leadership positions, because they are servants. They can run around with that Kang nonsense. They don't sound like Kangs. They don't operate like Kangs, but they do sound like servants. They do what they are allowed to do. They're doing what they're allowed to do. Right after he said we can't be leaders, he followed it up with Black women won't allow that. So if your leadership depends on what somebody allows, you are not a leader.
Here's the question. Because the argument y'all make feeds into the feminist agenda.
Okay.
It's an argument that says, I don't want the responsibility. I'm a leader. I don't want to fix shit. Right?
They don't.
I'm gonna fall back and let her run everything. That's what the feminists tell us. They say, look at them, making excuses for why they can't be better men, making excuses for why they can't make better men. You understand? Your argument feeds the feminist narrative.
That's not what we make excuses for.
Again, like I've been saying, Black men are the real feminists. They are more feminist minded than the women that they are. Really, Black men are feminist minded. Black women are traditional minded. And we can tell they don't even know the definition of feminism, although they're always talking about it, but they clearly don't know what it means. They don't know the difference from feminism and traditionalism, because if they did, they would know that what Black women are asking for is for you to take the traditional role of a man. You are saying, no, I want to be in a feminist dynamic, which is a 50-50, woman is equal to me. Woman's role is equal to mine. Black men are the feminists. Black women are the traditionalists. Feminism helps Black men more than it helps Black women. That's what they don't want to tell you. Because they want to be kept nesting bitches anyway, and feminism allows them to do that.
I'm saying I am the better man, but I shouldn't be held responsible because you wanted to choose a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's not me. I work too hard.
So he's the better man as he sits here and says, damn the community, I'm doing things on my for my individual self, but he's the better man. This is what they think is the better man. No leadership mentality, not community minded, selfish, self-centered, only concerned with what's going on in his own little bubble, but he's the better man. No, you're not the better man. You're the problem in the community.
So what I said, Pookie and Ray Ray shouldn't exist. And the only reason why Pookie and Ray Ray exist because we're not in the community making those boys the men they need to be. Do you see that? And she don't get a Pookie if you didn't allow a Pookie.
But she got an Eli. She ain't come to Eli. She went to Pookie. And that's what
Eli is a Pookie too. Because they act like being the Pookie is a social position, not a mentality. Being a Pookie is a mentality. The mentality drives behavior. You cannot be a Pookie unless you have a Pookie mindset, to which he has. He just dresses differently.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one
in my life.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one. We men supposed to make the braids the boys. Right.
We as men is holding other men accountable for the same thing that you're talking about right now.
What are we doing for the young brothers in the street? So
what you mean, mentoring them? No, I mean, he's a great father.
I ain't talking about that's individual. That's good. But that's individualism.
Yeah.
What are we doing collectively as men to change the trajectory for Black boys in the streets right now?
Didn't I literally almost verbatim ask him what they're doing collectively? Like, this is the thing that's really like interesting to me, because when I hear this, what are we doing collectively and other community? Yeah, these are all things that I said to you, Umar, and you started crying in response to it. I don't know if you remember when you were on Foxhole. I do. If you don't remember, I can send you the video. Maybe you can brush up on it, because when I was on Foxhole, you were there too. I was asking you directly, what did Black men do to benefit the community? And you started crying. You started doing that. Hey, Stormy, exactly. Storm said, and they make fun of men like Russell Wilson. Exactly. That's actually a great point, Storm, because how are y'all sitting up here talking about the problems is Pookie, but you will uphold Pookie future and tear down the good guy, Russell Wilson? So that's why I'm saying you can tell by their mentality that they're lying. Like, you call these so-called good men simps. You want a community full of Pookies. Thanks for bringing that. Thanks for saying that, Stormy, because that is a very good point. You have them sitting up here complaining about Pookie, but they praise Pookie Future and ostracize Russell Wilson. Who would be the Russell Wilson would be the personification of the good guy in the community, but yet they talk about how much of a simp he is. He shouldn't go raise those kids. He took a single mother. Just some contradictory bandits, like. But my thing with Umar Johnson is, which I mean, are we not going to talk about the fact that Umar Johnson needs to engage in healthier behaviors because his weight is getting to a very unhealthy level? Are we just going to, do Umar Johnson get the privilege of sitting here in his condition while everybody talks about Black women needing to lose weight? Are we going to ignore the rate of obesity among Black men? Are we doing that too? We're allowing Black men to sit up here and talk about Black women's obesity rate, but Umar Johnson gets to be in this condition. Nobody says anything to him, because he's sitting up here looking like an entire meatball and nobody wants to say anything about it. Nobody wants to say anything about Meatball Johnson sitting up here. But if this was a woman, they would be focused solely on her weight. They would be focusing solely on it. Let me continue with this.
Nothing.
We're being
but
avoided.
talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could take
It's
it.
not going to get better unless we put hands on deck. The reason the athletes and the rappers are the role models is the professional Black man moved out the hood. Where the dentist at? He ain't in the Black community no more. Where the lawyer at? Where the business owner at? Where your city council person at? We abandon Black boys, and then we blame Black men for poor choices in mates that they should not even have to make if we did a better job raising our boys the right way. At the end of the day, if I'm gonna call myself a man, the ultimate responsibility for reconstruction of the Black community rests with me. Yes, they have a role. Yes, they have responsibility. But as a man, as a leader, to say I can't fix this shit unless she changes, that's not the definition of a man.
I don't see. I think we're on one or two different accords. I don't think we're saying.
Yeah, I think they're on two different accords too, because these are not men and manhood is not in them. And I'm gonna need Umar Johnson as a doctor of psychology to recognize when he's sitting in the presence of conquered males, not men, because there is no manhood here. The manhood is a foreign concept to them, and you can tell it's very obvious they don't know what manhood is, because if they knew what manhood was, they wouldn't be talking like this. You wouldn't keep having to remind them of these things. This is not manhood. You're trying to speak a foreign language to some people who don't understand it. They're not men, therefore they don't understand what you're talking about, and they damn sure ain't leaders.
What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. You get what I'm saying? I should not have to.
You still go back to individual.
But I only feel like we tell Black men that we have to now deal with masculine women, women with children.
Why is she masculine? Because she had to raise the kids alone, not one woman, brother.
It's not even about her having to raise the kids alone. She got to raise Black men on her own, because when Black men become Black male adults, they still need to be raised. They still need guidance. They can't even, a lot of them can't even apply for a job on their own. They need you to help them open up bank accounts. So she ain't just raising little Black boys, she raising whole grown men. A lot of these bandits will marry a Black woman because they want their mommy, because they need to continue to be raised. They need somebody to pay their bills, help them get a job, wipe the crust from out their eyes, wash the track marks out their drawers, because they don't even know how to wipe themselves half the time. So she ain't only having to do that. She got to be the community advocate. She protesting for you. She marching for you. She voting on your behalf. She's sitting up here doing press conferences and writing books on your behalf. Like, what are you talking about? She's not just raising the Black boy, she's doing everything on her own. You're not exuding any masculinity. You haven't stepped up to the mantle of manhood, so you don't get to sit up here resting in your femininity, talking about, oh, well, we got it, so I'm supposed to deal with a masculine woman. You're not a masculine man. Somebody, there has to be the balance. If you're feminine, where is the masculinity coming from? It has to come from somewhere. And when you ask a woman to pay half of your bills, you are asking her to be in a masculine position. And nobody in the Black community seems to have a problem with Black women being masculine breadwinners of Black men, but you see masculinity in every other situation though, but not when you want her to bring her money to provide for you. That ain't masculine though.
Community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No,
that's what I have to look forward to.
But I'm telling you, mistakes made by Black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be. And I'm telling you, Black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children. And when I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad. I mean you as an active member in the community where we go to every single parent Black mother and say,
But why does she need help with a stepdad if Black men are already the most active fathers though? Because they're about to bring this up, which is going to literally contradict everything that she's saying, because you don't need to worry about a woman who has kids by another man unless that man is not taking care of his kid and you feel like you're going to have to. So then why are you bringing up the CDC study that's going to contradict everything you over here complaining about? Just lying ass bitches.
how many sons you got? Two? How many sons you got? Two? Well, guess what? That's your son's big brother. That's your son's big brother. He taking him to school. He doing the homework. He gonna spend a couple hours with him every Saturday. He got his own kids too, but he gonna make time for you. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and have to take care of herself all at the same time. The Black woman has been the be all in all in our community for half of a century.
And that's why she don't need you. Because if she got to be the be all end all, you can best believe she damn sure don't need you as a man, because you've proven why she don't need you.
Want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
I don't believe.
Yeah, I can't.
I guess I do understand. I understand what you're saying.
If you have yet to tell me something that we've done systemically to combat that.
Yeah, just like you didn't tell me what y'all did systemically when I asked you on Foxhole. So now you get where my frustration was coming from, as Umar Johnson supposedly being this well-studied intellectual. But when I asked you on Foxhole, what did Black men do to push back against the system and remedy these systemic issues? You didn't tell me, just like that dude ain't told you. You were just crying though.
Because you said me and her. I don't care about me and her.
But there's plenty
women and men. Women and men as a group in the community. You understand?
Right.
We gave birth to that. You see? So you say she had a couple kids already because she met men. She probably thought they was good. Some of them, they left her.
She knew they wasn't good.
You don't know that, brother.
She knew they wasn't good.
You're making assumptions about her. Would you make the same assumption if she was a white woman?
No,
Yes,
he
I
wouldn't.
would.
So you said.
Yeah, right. So he say he's a liar. He's a liar, and we know that he's a liar because we know you can literally observe Black men when it comes to women of no color. Absolutely not. It's 111, y'all. 111.
No,
Come on. So you
listen, like I said, I feel like as a Black
we
man,
don't hold them all accountable because Black men date outside their race more than every other man put together.
I said we.
Y'all three.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
I
But
can't disprove that because I don't know you personally.
Even that,
but
we look at the numbers. Black men marry Black women at an 87% rate, where Black women marry outside of their race, or they marry outside at a 92%.
Black women do.
See here, listen. I wish Black men would stop quoting statistics because they don't know how to comprehend or interpret them. Like, Black men do not get married at an 86% rate. They don't. Like, well, what are you sitting here talking about? They get married at an 8? No, they don't. Then they would have literally, if that was the case, Black men would have the second highest rate of marriage in the country, and they don't. Like, no, you get married at a 26% rate, not an 80% rate. Black men's rate of marriage is 26%. It is not 86%. It's 26.
No, you're
That
wrong.
percentages
You're
are
wrong.
That's not that much.
Black women do not marry out the race more than black men.
I'm
That's
not
wrong.
saying that. But the percentages
Black
that
women,
far off. That's what I'm
black
saying.
women have one of the highest, fastest growing interracial marriage rates. But her interracial marriage rate pales in comparison to what black men have been doing interracially for 4 or 5 decades. You understand? She don't even come close to what we're doing interracially.
Black fathers are in the home more than any other group of race.
See, look.
Okay.
Black men are in the home more than any other group or race. It says no study on the planet. And the CDC study does not say that. And the CDC study is black men self-reporting. So basically, black men told the CDC that they're the most active fathers, and that's what the CDC reported. But you just got done complaining about these single mothers raising Pookie, but now you sitting here saying black men are in the home more than any other race, and you're not. And then if you are, then did you just get done talking about single mothers? There can be no bunch of single mothers if black men are in the home.
So what
That has no value.
it does have value, but we're going to put that up against the other statistic. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. And like,
Which clearly says that black men are not the most active fathers. You can't have 2/3 of children being raised by single mothers, but black men are the most active fathers. It's like y'all sound retarded. Stop saying it. Because you just sound dumb. You keep running around talking about single mothers, but then saying, oh, well, black men are in the house more than anybody. How do you have all these single mothers then? That means you're co-parenting, genius. Co-parenting and single motherhood are the opposite. So it's like, what are you talking about? You either have a bunch of single mothers or black men are in the home. Which one is it? Because you can't have both of them. Which one?
I said, when I say being raised, I'm not saying it needs to be a father. I would like a father in that house, but I know it's not enough of us to go around. We are not even being accountable to the boys in the hood. And we're complaining about the women. I'm arguing with women who are making babies with the irresponsible men that we didn't raise correctly. That's bullshit. All right. That's whip-ass weak man shit. Take responsibility for our shit. Stop scapegoating them.
Yeah, I could agree to that.
All I'm saying is, look at all we can be doing better, man. Half the black boys in the 4th grade can't read. What black men doing about that systemically?
Nothing.
Not enough.
I know what you're doing about it. I'm building a school for it, 2 of them. But systemically, as black men, what are we doing about that?
You building 2 schools and you ain't even got the first one open. Like, you did not just sit here and say you building 2 schools and after nearly 20 years, you don't even got the first one open. It don't take 20 years to get a school up. But now all of a sudden you doing 2 schools? Listen, I pity the fool who donates. That's all I'm gonna say. I pity the fool that donates because it's like, really, you got 2 schools now? Cut it out.
Black boys are the most unemployed teenager in America. What black men doing about that?
Not
See, the Pookie and Ray you kept talking about? We letting them raise right before our eyes, and then we want to criticize something that ended up with one when we should have made sure there were none.
Listen, we all got choices. Just like if I choose to live a lifestyle, that's part of choices.
Yeah, he's the problem in the community, and he can't even see it. Like, this dude can't even see how much of a problem is. He's a problem in the community. He is. And he doesn't see how his individualistic mindset, the fact that he doesn't think the men should be responsible, that he want to scapegoat to Pookie and Ray Ray, when he just asks you, what are black men doing? So that would include both Pookie and Ray Ray and Good Guy. If you can't point to no black men who are doing anything about these systemic issues, then you don't get to sit up here and say, well, I'm not part of the problem. Yeah, you are, because you ain't doing nothing. You're part of the problem.
We have to deal with this systemically. He brought up a question earlier, and he said, did we make these problems on our own, or was there some systemics involved? It was systemics. Okay. In 1970, they shut down the factories.
It's them.
Industrial building jobs.
It's not systemic. It's their behavior and their mindset, and they're exhibiting it on this panel.
In 1980, dropped off the crack and the AIDS. 1990, the Bill Clinton crime bill. There's systemic factors at play. You totally divorce your analysis from any systemic factors at all. You ain't mentioned one. You can be talking about her and Pookie and Ray with the kids. You ain't say shit about the systemics. That's exactly what white folks want you to do. That's what white folks want you to do.
I'm saying that
Ignore
I have made
what I've done to your women and scapegoat her. Because that's what she's doing to you. She's ignoring what the system did to you. And she's going to scapegoat you.
And
We're
they-
both scapegoating each other.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Your
fair.
analysis is feeding the gender war. It's not solving it.
Listen,
I don't mind us holding the
Right.
women accountable. I don't mind us holding the men accountable.
right?
Yeah. But when we're going to hold the system accountable as well.
That's fair.
And if we're going to hold the system accountable, that also means we got to make our own systems too. Black men have not been manly in quite some time when it comes to raising boys.
How would you suggest that Black men take on the role of leadership
Especially when there's an attack on
Yeah.
Black masculinity.
without women willing to listen to us? You get what I'm saying? How do we prove our worth or take back the
Take care
leadership
of the boys. You want the women back? Take care of these damn boys. They run in the hood, killing people at will, flunking out of school, following the lead of the gangster rappers. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can do that ain't got nothing to do with the women, boys and men. Do you understand? Deal with the boys and the men. Leave her out of it and go straight to the boys. And you'll get her respect back. Give them jobs, give them education, give them training, give them your time. They not getting none of that from Black men. We don't give a shit about Black boys. And then we get mad at her for ending up with one later in life. It's ridiculous.
Like I said,
Create
we
the
get,
product and get mad for her for ending up consuming the product.
she could consume whatever she wants. I'm just saying, as a Black man,
It's not about her consuming whatever she wants, brother, because if we're trying to fix the Black community, everybody and everything matters. It's
And that's
not individual.
understandable.
You're an
But what-
individualist. You're not thinking as a community. Your whole analysis is based on me and her. Step out of that shit. This is systems at play. You understand?
Right.
Multiple Black men screwed up. Multiple Black women screwed up. You understand me? Look at the systemic nature and say, what system do we need to create as Black men to prevent the Pookie and Ray Ray from coming into existence?
or I, as a Black man, can just look for a woman that is healed, that is leading in her femininity, that doesn't have a child by another
But
woman.
that doesn't solve community problems. We're talking about community solutions. That's individualism.
And that's the end of that segment. At the end of the day, listen, the Black man's mindset is the biggest problem, bar none. Like there is no problem that's bigger than Black man's mindset. And the dude up here who declared himself a good guy, notice how his mindset was in exact opposition to the progression of the community, but he thinks that he's a good guy. He thinks that he can sit there and only be concerned about what he got going on, only be concerned about him and this individual woman. I guess both people are going to be feminine. I guess there's going to be no masculinity present in the relationship. That's fine. If he wants to have a dynamic where both of them is operating from the feminine, fine. If that's the dynamic he wants to have, that's the dynamic that he can have. But the problem is that there's too many Black men who are the problem and they don't see how they're the problem, because you can't solve a problem that you don't see. And that dude may be sitting up there thinking that because he hasn't been arrested and I don't know him, but typically it's a Black man who has not been arrested. I'm not going to say who hasn't committed crimes. I'm going to say who don't got a criminal record. Not having a criminal record does not mean that you have not committed crimes, nor does it mean that you're not a criminal. Every criminal doesn't have a criminal record, and everybody who has a record is not a criminal. The bottom line is these bandits and their mindset is a problem. Themis said these men only care about a system when they can use it as an excuse for themselves. Exactly, and that's the only time they care. The only time they care is, okay, can I use this system as an excuse for my degeneracy? But the reality is they ain't done nothing about the system. They haven't even attempted to do anything about the system. The system is not an issue for them. And quite frankly, if Black women will just not ask them for anything and would continue to accept the nothing but degeneracy and abuse that they get, they will be completely fine. You probably wouldn't even ever hear about the system. They're only using the system as an excuse because Black women have some tiny expectation that they do something. And they have the expectation, but they don't have the consequence if the expectation is not met. That is the problem. Because you can sit there and want and expect them to build and be leaders, but if you're not willing to do anything when they don't fulfill that expectation, then you might as well not have the expectation. Don't have the expectation if you don't have a consequence for not meeting the expectation. And there is no consequence for that not meeting the expectation. But I find it real interesting how I have yet to see a panel where Black men don't sit up and talk about how Black women could get abortions now. I am going to go back to that one because it comes up in every single discussion. In every single discussion, there is some Black man who condemns Black women at large for not having an abortion. But when I tell y'all selective mating, you want to sit here and say it's extreme. Well, your male counterparts think the same thing. They can run around here and get mad because I'm saying do it selectively based on who the problem is and identifying them as the problem. But at the end of the day, they're promoting the same thing that I'm promoting. They're telling you to get abortions, stop birthing these children. Because if you don't birth the children, they're not obligated to take care of them. And if you do birth them, they're just going to abandon them. But they're telling you that, okay, if you don't want to deal with me abandoning the children, then stop having them. And that's logical. Is it coming from a place of degeneracy in them? 100%. But absolutely. They're saying, okay, you have a problem with me abandoning these children. I got a problem with paying child support. I'm still going to abandon these kids. And you could choose to not have them. And it's your fault that the kids are being abandoned because you're choosing to have them. That's what they're telling you. That is what they're telling you. That you deserve the abandonment. And in fact, you forced them to abandon the kid because they told you they didn't even want it and you had the option to get rid of it. How many times do they have to say that? Like how many times do they have to really say that before there's some kind of acquiescence to it? Because they have been showing you, we can't say that they haven't been showing you by action. Yeah, they have. They've continuously and consecutively abandoned the children. Now they're just being more vocal. Now they've been emboldened. So now they're in your face telling you that they abandoned the children because you should have aborted it. Now they're coming out and boldly saying that, but they've been showing you. They've been showing you, and now they're telling you. They're going to keep abandoning these kids because you can choose to not have them. And they keep saying it to you. They keep saying it. And I'm going to keep pointing out how they keep saying it. And the reason why they're going to keep saying it is because they agree with it. They can cry all over YouTube as much as they want to. They're going to cry, go jump on somebody's panel, and they're going to tell you that you should have got an abortion. And because you didn't get an abortion, you have no right to complain about being a single mother because you chose to be a single mother. And then they're going to, on that same panel, they're going to run and say, CNG talking about abort Black babies, CNG talking about abort Black babies, right after they just suggested that you do the same thing. And y'all go let them get away with it. Because this is what they do. They've done it many times and we've seen it live and in action on Themis's panel. They will get up there, complain that I'm telling you to stop birthing your enemies, and then they will tell you that you're to blame because you should have got an abortion. That's what they're going to do. But the CDC says exactly. It's like the CDC is saying what y'all told them, like, cut it out. Y'all sit up there and told them that you're the most active fathers, and therefore that's where the CDC got it from. But they're going to keep doing that. They're going to keep doing it. And they're going to keep doing it because Black women act like they don't notice it. You act like you don't notice how they'll sit up there and complain about somebody telling you to stop birthing them, but then they go get up on the panel and condemn you because you birthed them. Oh yeah, they are. They're going to do the same thing. They go condemn you because you birthed them at the end of the day. And I'm just like, okay, well, Black women, you have some decisions to make. And I don't think you have a lot of time to make those decisions. And it's just because of the fact of the matter is society is still progressing on as you're choosing to not progress, as you're choosing to create the same type of males and people in your community. Everybody else's community is progression. So you're literally birthing in stagnance. You're birthing it in. I'm going to read this last comment and then I'm going to get off of here. Virgin Psychic B Miss said, this is sadly true because to see a Black man in a leadership role, other groups think they're being punked or have landed on another planet. So prevalent, Black men rarely in leadership roles. Yeah, no, they're not. Because they're not made of leadership qualities. They're made of qualities that will lead them to be subservient. And we need to start looking at that. And I think once Black women understand that inbred in the psyche of these bandits is a slave and somebody subservient, if you understand that, then you'll understand why they've been subjugated so much and why they're still continuing to be and why they're comfortable in that situation. And I know nobody wants to sit there and say there's something innately wrong with them, but there is. And I don't think it's their Black skin. I don't think the eumelanin is the problem with them. It's not their eumelanin. Their eumelanin is the benefit that they have. Everything else is trash. Everything else is trash. And we're not going to sit here and ignore the fact that this is a single male group who have been dominated and subjugated by everybody. Hundreds of years after they off the plantation, they still complain that they can't do nothing. And we're supposed to just keep looking towards the system. No, I need to look at you as a group of men. Why can't you do anything about this situation? It's been hundreds of years. And why do you keep finding yourself in this situation? Why? And I think we need to consider that. There's something is wrong with them, but I don't know what's wrong with them, but I know something is wrong with them. But y'all, I'm gonna jump off of here. And yeah, the live stream will continue to be up. So y'all will be able to watch it. But thank you so much to everybody who super chatted. Thanks so much for the support. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.